to Brewing Success, where growth is the mission, change is the reward, and progress is the goal. I am your host, Andrea Gebhardt. I'm a former educator turned passionate entrepreneur whose desire to create impact has never wavered. I've spent the last decade teaching, mentoring, and coaching people on how to create success in their lives and businesses with proven strategies and systems that not only bring about change, but big results. When it comes down to it, teaching is my specialty, leadership is my jam, and inspiring you to live a bigger, fuller life is what I'm all about. This podcast will give you the knowledge and tools you need to brew success in almost any area of your life. You're going to walk away each week feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to step outside your comfort zone and into the next level of who you're meant to be. Now let's get into today's episode. In today's episode, we are going to talk about failure. And if you are like most living, breathing human beings out there, then the word failure does one of two things to you. It either makes you a little bit nervous and kind of like hard swallow, or it charges you with a little bit of energy and excitement. And where you fall on that spectrum has everything to do with your relationship with failure, your understanding of failure, and your knowledge of the power that of what failure can really do for you. And listen, I have a unique perspective on failure that often results in interesting facial expressions on the people I'm talking to about it. And I guess that means that maybe the conversation is changing their perspective on failure too. And I'm happy to do that. And I hope that after today, yours is changed as well. In all honesty, I wish more people talked about failure. I wish more people would talk about the series of failures that led them to their success. I mean, could you even imagine if you were interviewing somebody who is incredibly successful, and they, instead of talking about accolade after accolade after accolade, all of their triumphs, they told you instead about the things they overcame, the things that they learned, how their failures really led to their success. It would be so incredible, one, because it would normalize the struggle, right? It would help you then to also understand and appreciate the journey, because sometimes we look at people who are successful like, gosh, they're so lucky. And no, they're not. Will you promise me that you will never look at somebody who is really successful and think to yourself, gosh, they're so lucky. Gosh, they have all of this and they've accomplished all of that. Instead, look at them like, man, they must have gone through a lot to get to where they are, because typically that is 100% the case. I wish more people understood that their failures played a unique role in their journey. I mean, it would just create a different type of conversation and a different level of appreciation and respect for success altogether, right? And so I don't know where it happened, where in our lives we were taught that failure is bad and that it's wrong and that it's unacceptable. Although I do have an idea, it probably happened that first time you went to do something by yourself as a toddler or a young child. You spilled the milk, you broke the vase, you made a mess, and someone, probably your mom, lost her ish and told you you did it wrong, you messed up, and therein lies your first shameful experience with failure, which then planted this seed that resulted in you being apprehensive when it came to doing or trying something new in fear of failure. And it sticks with you for the rest of your life and is reinforced every time throughout your life when you make a mistake, you mess up, and you fail. This would be all very different if we understood that failure isn't a bad thing, that it's actually a rad thing, right? Because failure creates clarity. Failure creates opportunity. Failure is a place where we can learn new information and get better outcomes. And it's weird to me when I think about that whole concept of being a child. I mean, I'm a mom, I've got 4 kids, and I think about, when your kids are babies, when they're, 6 months old, they're learning how to stack blocks, they're learning how to build those mega block Lego things, and you're watching them and you're like, oh my gosh, you got it. But then it falls over and you're like, it's okay, pick it back up, you've got this, try again. And then somewhere as your child gets older and shifts into like early toddlerhood and, being a young child, it's don't stop. Don't do that. Don't touch that. You're going to mess up. You're going to break it. You're going to this, you're going to that. And suddenly we have them tiptoeing through everyday life in fear of making a mistake or making a mess and everything else. And so even as I was, putting notes together to share this podcast with you guys, it made me really reflective as a parent. And how can I be better at creating a safe place as a mom, as a parent for failure, so that my kids don't develop this fear and therefore never try, therefore never go for it? How can I help them create a healthy relationship with failure so that they can leverage it, so that they can utilize it, so that they can have a really solid relationship and be on that latter half of the spectrum I just talked about, so that when I say the word failure, they're charged with a little bit of energy, excitement, anticipation over what could come from the lesson that was delivered through whatever that failure was. So our kids say things like, but what if I mess up? Or what if it doesn't work? Shoot, we say stuff like that as adults. What if I make a mistake? Or what if I fail? These are the things that my kids say all the time. And I reply, well, then you will learn and you will figure it out and you will get better. And I wish as adults, we would say more of this stuff to one another. So when you have someone who's, I really want to do this, but I'm scared of this, or I really want to, but I'm afraid of failing or making a mistake or it not working out. And what if we looked at our friends and were like, hey, and it's okay if you do, because you're going to learn something, you're going to figure it out, and you're going to get better as a result of that. So in all reality, if we can change our perspective on failure, if we can change our relationship with failure, then we start to understand how it can serve us, because it never really does hold us back unless we allow it to. Unless we allow it to keep us from taking action and allow it to keep us from moving forward on our dreams. Failing is a part of the process. Success is merely a series of failures that are all strung together. It's important to remember that failure doesn't make you weak, it makes you better. The best part of things when they don't go as planned or they don't work out or they completely fall apart is that we are usually able to learn something about ourselves, about other people, and the world around us. It's how we gather meaningful information that informs future decisions as well as outcomes. And I get it. No one likes to fail. And most of us don't like to admit or acknowledge failure. We want to grab the nearest broom and sweep that dirty little pile of mistakes under the rug, but that doesn't serve us. And if we continue to operate that way, we won't have a successful team, a winning strategy, or the ability to impact others. What we'll have is just a lumpy rug of denial and ultimately defeat. And it's crazy because we know that, if you want to fly, you're going to have to fail. If you're going to try, you're going to fail. Like it's just a part of the process. Yet a lot of times that fear of failure holds us back. It disables us a little bit. Sometimes we don't act, we don't jump, we don't go, we don't try, we don't do because we're so worried about failing. But like you can't really, failure isn't a loss. Because like I said before, you often learn something about yourself or others or the world around you that informs future decisions and future outcomes. So there's really no loss that's being had at all. It's so crazy because when I think about failure for myself, I giggle because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have had a ton of failures throughout my life. I've had tons of really great ideas that I put into actions that completely flopped. I've started businesses that completely tanked. I've, tried to do things that didn't go like I thought they were going to go. And even though like the failure part of it is kind of scary and it definitely has the suck factor, it never really disabled my progress because I never saw it as a negative thing. You can't win 100% of the time in life. That's just how it goes. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to pick yourself up. I love those rock bottom moments because there's only one place to go from there is up. And I think to really help you guys understand, this is, to help you really understand all of this, I think back to here I was in my career. I was a successful administrator of an elementary school. And I, got started with a network marketing company to earn some extra income to pay down some student loan debt because, handful of master's degrees aren't cheap. And it's so funny because I had tried to do network marketing a couple of times and I failed at both. The first company that I joined, I was in and out of in 6 months. I just, didn't know a lot about anything. And I just totally failed flat all over my face. And it was not fun. And then I joined another one like a year and a half later and really tried really hard to have success. I was more coachable. I was more open. I went to the trainings, I did the things, and I just was like failure after failure after failure after failure. And so then when I partnered with the one that I actually had success with, I was so afraid of failing. I was so afraid of what people would think about me. I was so nervous about all of it that when I joined that business, you can always attach your name to like the website and the business and stuff like that. And I didn't. I actually, in the moment of filling out the application to do it, was like, I got to come up with a name, but I don't want to use mine because I don't want anybody to know I'm doing it because I don't want to tell anybody else. I don't want anybody else to see me fail again. I can't fail again. Like, how come I'm successful in every other area of my life, but I suck at this? Like, why can't I figure it out and get it together? So when I got started with that business, you guys are going to giggle at this actually. I named my website Brewing Success, and this was 10 years ago. And I named it that because I didn't want it to be associated with me. In fact, when I got started, I told everybody it was my sister's business that I was promoting because I was so afraid of failing. I didn't want to be the girl that failed again. And you see, when I flash back to 10 years ago, my relationship with failure wasn't healthy. I saw it as a negative thing. I saw it as a bad thing. I saw it as a detrimental thing, an embarrassing thing. But as I've worked on myself and as I've grown and as I've learned, I've come to understand that failure is evidence that effort is present. I'm going to say that again. Failure is evidence that effort is present. And if you're not failing, then you're not putting in effort. And that one idea for me was everything because I'm not a non-effort kind of girl. I am pro-effort all the time, 100% maximum effort in everything that I do. And so if I'm not failing, I'm not putting in effort, and that just doesn't equate for me. That just doesn't work out for me. So now my relationship with failure is so much healthier. I welcome it. I embrace it. I learn from it. I understand the value of it. And I think that you should really work towards that as well. And isn't it funny that that whole concept of this fake name, because I was so embarrassed to be associated with another company and associated with another opportunity to fail, Brewing Success is now the name of this podcast where we get to talk about these exact things. And I just, I wanted to share that with you because obviously went on over the last 10 years to build a very successful career in network marketing. And, it's one of the industries I am super duper love, incredibly passionate about. And one that has given me so many different opportunities throughout life and led me to where I am today. And so no one and nothing, by the way, is good the first time around. And that should totally take some pressure off of you. Failure is designed to help us get better. Failure is actually the best teacher you can welcome into your journey. Failure isn't bad, and it certainly doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you bad at anything, right? It doesn't make you a bad leader, a bad mom, a bad friend, a bad anything. But it will make you a better everything if you let it. Failure is the first ingredient of success. And you, my friend, you're going to fail and it's going to suck and you're going to hate it. It's going to tempt you to quit and give up and blow off your dreams, but promise me that you won't. Everything you want is just on the other side of failure. You should know that every failure offers an opportunity for learning, growth, and strength. Every failure makes a better version of you. The most successful people in this life that we live are those who become good friends with failure and greet it each time with a better sense of understanding and acceptance. It's when I think about failure, it's like failure isn't final, it's forging a better version. I love the concept of that. And there are really only two ways that you can truly fail at anything. If you give up and if you quit. The crazy thing is that you get a choice. Your success in anything is your choice. So when you choose success, you simultaneously choose failure. And the sooner you recognize how these two work together, the sooner you get it. And by it, I mean that thing you were meant to do, that person you were made to be. You should fear never realizing your purpose over failure. You should fear never becoming who you were made to be over fearing failure. That right there, that is some scary crap. Okay, leaving this earth never fulfilling your destiny. Imagine the impact of that. A wasted life, a wasted purpose. Don't be afraid to fail. Be more afraid of not making progress. Be more afraid of not fulfilling that calling on your life. Be more afraid of being in the exact same place, in the exact same struggles, doing the exact same things 5 years from now. Fear that over failing. There are paths that are meant to be crossed by yours. Succumbing to fear has a larger impact than you realize. So don't fear failure. Do it anyway. Do it scared. Never never fear failure. Embrace it, harness it, leverage it. It might just be the best thing that you ever do. We spend so much time in this life and in this world, and #guilty right here, teaching people how to be successful. We do not spend nearly enough time teaching them how to fail. And you're probably thinking, wait, teach people how to fail? People don't need to learn how to fail. Yes, they do. If we taught more people how to fail, they would embrace it. They would embrace failure. They would repurpose failure. They would bounce back faster and they would bounce back stronger. They would ultimately make more progress if they knew how to fail properly. You see, you have two jobs when it comes to failure. The first is to learn from it and use it to make yourself better. The second is to role model your reaction and response to failure. Your kids are watching, your team is watching, and well, we all know that people do what they see. So here are a few questions you can ask yourself the next time you come face to face with failure. Number 1, why are you here? When you experience failure, ask yourself, why are you here? Failure, like why? What happened? The second question, what are you teaching me? What is it that you are supposed to learn from this? Or what is it that you can learn from this? You know, sometimes it's something really simple. Sometimes it's something a little bit more complex and complicated. But either way, look for the lesson. And number 3, how will you make me better? How will this failure make you better? And a lot of times the easiest way to really help people understand this and put it into a real relatable context is when you experience what I call relational failure. So you are you have a friend, and let's say, you say something wrong or you do something wrong or you forget to do something or whatever the case may be. You messed up. You made a mistake. Whoopsie doops, right? And the person on the other side of the relationship is upset because of whatever happened. And you have to ask yourself, okay, why did this happen? What am I going to learn here? And how's this going to make me better? Well, I'm going to remember, A, B, C, D, E, F, G next time because I don't want to be in the same place again, right? I don't want to make the same mistake again. There's so much value that we can take from our failures that can actually grow us by leaps and bounds, which is really, really amazing. You see, when you can leverage the lesson, you automatically lessen the leverage failure has over you. When you can leverage the lesson, you automatically lessen the leverage failure has over you. What do I mean by that? See, when we experience failure, it takes a toll on us. We feel bad. We feel defeated. We slip into inaction. Our confidence takes a hit. Our self-belief takes a hit. Doubt creeps up. All these things happen. But when we can leverage the lesson, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to make me better? Then we lessen the leverage that the failure has over us. We strip away its power. And we see it as something that we can use and utilize. That's why I talk about embracing failure and repurposing it into learning that makes us better. Failure isn't final, it's forging a better version. Failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Failure is nothing more than experience with a bad reputation. And suddenly, in my brain, the song kicks into my head, the Taylor Swift song, but like, bad reputation. Seriously, though, failure doesn't define you. It refines you. Failure is nothing more than experience with a bad reputation. People with a lot of experience have experienced a lot of failure. I love that. You know what people with a lot of experience and a lot of failure have in common? Wisdom, knowledge, insight, perspective. Those are not bad things. Those are the qualities that we seek out in others. And that's what you gain from failure. And it's crazy to think that we would ever assume that failure doesn't happen. The difference between the successful and the unsuccessful is how they perceive failure. You see, good leaders know that failure is a part of the journey, and great leaders embrace it and repurpose it into learning. The learning that is often required to advance to the next level. And if it's that next level that you're looking to get to, never forget, failure isn't fatal. It is fertile. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for showing up for your growth, and for committing to working toward becoming the best version of yourself. Let's help those around us make progress too. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it in your story with a link, so we can empower everyone with the ability to become friends with failure. Leave a review, reach out to me on social, ask any questions. Thank you for being a part of the Brewing Success community, where growth is the mission, change is the reward, and progress is the goal.